cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1831. Yes, 1831. I'm your host, Mike Matthews. The show is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And we are going to be singing here at Cafe Anyway somewhere in Podcastro Valley 10. I've got no hair, and that's okay because it doesn't really serve a purpose for me or you. You're such a perv because I know what's going on in your mind. I can see right through your facade.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
What's that going on in there in your brain hole? Hey, I hope you had a good Saturday night, because now it's Sunday, and
Mike's
I guess this will be
Daily
the last podcast
I
do this week, possibly.
Yeah!
I don't know. We'll see. I get so dang busy now. I got so much going on. I can't do this podcast all the dang time. I know you deserve more from me, but I didn't hear from you. You didn't call me at 336mm Daily and tell me your situation, and if you liked the show, if you had any comments on the last show. You didn't call. So how am I supposed to know? I'm therefore going to talk about the song We Are the World here at Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley 10, the last place on earth. We Are the World came out 1985. And it featured Lionel Richie. It was a song written by Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson. It was produced by Quincy Jones, who had produced a lot of Michael Jackson albums up to that point. It featured artists that Quincy Jones had produced, such as James Ingram. And in the song, We Are the World, you might listen to it and go, 80 schmaltz ick. I hate everything it stands for. Yet, it does have some of the most interesting pairings of super 80s songsters, performers. If you think about it, one of the parts of the song featured...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Basically a duet between Stevie Wonder and Bruce Springsteen. Now, when have we seen that before or since? We haven't. They're at the end of the song. They are singing back and forth to each other. They're calling and responding back and forth. Also in the song is Huey Lewis, Kim Carnes, who sang She's Got Betty Davis, and also one of my favorite that I don't even know if you know. Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy in the night when I count down in the covers and sometimes she's going crazy in the night. There was a song she did called Crazy in the Night that was so awesome. Oh, I loved it so much. I think I even tried to buy the album, and then I was like, Basil. I would have bought so much music, and I had this thing in my head where, is it really worth it? And at the end, I couldn't. I would only buy the albums that were really, that like, I guess really spoke to me. And then as I got into radio, music became free, interestingly. And so I have a bunch of CDs now from way back. I think the first CD I ever got was Mike and the Mechanics that had All I Need Is a Miracle. Can you hear me? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me running? Can you hear me calling you? And taken in again, wrapped around the finger of some fair-weathered friend. You know, there are a lot of fair-weather friends in this world, aren't there? Oh, I just dropped the mic because I have to tell you, Mike, you person listening. No, I'm not talking to myself. I swear, I'm talking to you. I got some fair-weather friends. And I remember, and I've known people who have fair-weather friends, and I just want to tell them, I don't know if that one you can really depend on, that friend you got there. But I have a friend who basically doesn't talk to me for months at a time, and then all of a sudden, it's an intense like, hey, call me back. Hey, Dada, can you do this for me? Hey, this, hey, that, hey, that, and it's all this attention, and then they're gone again. Then they scurry off into the great unknown, and I don't hear from them. And I don't like that. You got to be around a little bit more than that. You got to be, I just feel fair weather friends are using you a lot of the time, and you just got to be careful of that. Okay, so back to We Are the World. In this one part with Kim Carnes, Huey Lewis and Cyndi Lauper sing kind of a little trio in this one part of the song. And it's that one part, it's kind of the bridge in the song that takes us back into the chorus, where for the first time in the chorus we get the full-on choir effect, which I don't know too much about the production of We Are the World. I do know it was after, wasn't it an American Music Awards or some big awards? I don't think it was the Grammys. I think it was like a Dick Clark affair, one of the award shows that he hosted, or the People's Choice or something like that. But it was done immediately afterwards. It was spurred on by the Band-Aid album and Live Aid and Boomtown Rats guy Bob Geldof. And that all spearheaded it, and it was like, let's save the people in Africa. They're dying of starvation. We can do something about this. Britain did something with Band-Aid, with Do They Know It's Christmas Time at all, and all those British singers, Bono, Boy George, Paul Young. Oh, that guy. Did I say Simon Le Bon yet? He was in that one. Phil Collins played drums. So they wanted to do the American version, and then we got We Are the World. It became a huge hit. Went to number one, like a rocket. Tina Turner, Dionne Warwick. You had Billy Joel, Steve Perry of Journey, Bob Dylan, Ray Charles. For some reason, Dan Aykroyd is in the video. But it paired some interesting folks. Billy Joel, for a moment. No. It's Willie Nelson sings with Dionne Warwick in this one part. I forget who Billy Joel sings with in that song. But yeah, there's this interesting pairings. Did he sing with Steve Perry? Oh, no. Steve Perry kind of sings, for a fraction of a second, is singing with Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates. So, yeah, all your 80s mega icons are all in that song. No Madonna, no Prince. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton. No Whitney Houston either. No George Michael. He was in the Band-Aid song. But, yeah. So I heard that today on my way in because there's a station in the Bay Area that plays the old Casey Kasem shows. First time I heard them replaying old Casey Kasem shows, I was still living in Huntsville, Alabama. And they would do this one in the Bay Area only plays the 80s American Top 40 with Casey Kasem shows, which he only did up until 88, and then Shadow Stevens took over. In fact, somewhere in my archives, I actually have a copy of when Casey Kasem was replaced by Shadow Stevens, who was the announcer on Hollywood Squares for a while. He was this big DJ in Los Angeles. But Casey Kasem was counting him down. In Huntsville, let me back up to Huntsville, Alabama. They would play the 70s version of Casey Kasem. Casey Kasem used to the American Top 40 show started in the 70s, early 70s. And the first hour would be that, and the second hour, that's right, because they did it in real time. His show is 4 hours long. So it was an 8-hour block on the station. They basically ran it all day. And the first 4 hours would be a 70s broadcast, and the 80s broadcast would be the next 4 hours. So what was fascinating about the 1970s Casey Kasem is he was a lot more soft-spoken. He was a lot more like, hey, coming in we're counting down to number 25. It's the latest from Jim Croce and Time in a Bottle. Because a lot of the music back then in the 70s was very mellow. was very, you had a couple disco songs, once in a while a rock tune, but for the most part, pretty damn mellow. So he was talking really softly through a lot of it. And then in the 80s, it was hello again. It's American Top 40. And so here in the one I heard today that was on a local 80s station that only plays the 80s version, he was counting down to I think the top 5, or number 2 was like, We Are the World. And that's what got me all on that big old tangent, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, Tanzania, am I saying that right? They are banning plastic bags. So, if a country that I can't even pronounce is banning plastic bags now, what does that say about where you live? Is where you live, have they banned the plastic bags yet? Because in the Bay Area, we banned it. In fact, in Castro Valley, in Alameda County, they banned plastic bags a couple years back. In fact, the podcast picture was probably around the time they banned the plastic bags. 2 years ago today, I was at Half Moon Bay, and you can see that podcast picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com and anywhere we are in social media world places, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. So you can see that picture there. And it's of the beautiful beach there at Half Moon Bay. I went there 2 years ago with Basil the Boxer, who we heard bark earlier. So no more plastic bags in Tanzania, Xanadu, wherever. And probably no plastic bags where you are. It's changed. The whole world is changing. Now, I remember one idiot writing the local paper saying, oh, well, if they ban plastic bags, that means people got to use those canvas bags, and that means those things get unsanitary real quick. What if, like, you're trying to bring home chicken from the store and it leaks, and there you got a salmonella outbreak in your bag? Well, it's a good start to stop with the plastic bags, because it is a complete hazard to our environment. That show I was trying to talk about last week, about I think it was on the CGTN, which is the China Global Television Network. Actually, it looks more like the China Government Television Network. So there's probably a lot of Chinese propaganda in there, as I've mentioned before. They have a show called Crossover, and it was discussing child development. And as I am not a parent, I really can't speak too much on this topic, but I do know, I have a lot of parent friends, and I do know it is tough work. And you have to decide how much you're going to educate your kid, how much you're going to spend on your kid. And I found one of the parents they had on the show called Crossover, which, by the way, is an odd name for a show. I don't know if they translated that correctly. I know it's a lot of Chinese-speaking people that run this network, and when it comes to English, they sometimes don't get the right word right. So Crossover sounds like this is a show where we're talking about people who just died, and we're trying to contact them on the other side on Crossover. Or possibly it's songs that have crossed over onto the charts. Hey, like on American Top 40, when some songs crossed over from the dance chart to the pop chart, or the country chart to the pop chart. But that's probably not what it meant at all. Anyway, this show's called Crossover Cafe Anyway.
WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
And they were talking to parents in China. One of them actually a Caucasian who had a Chinese wife, and they were talking about what they are teaching their kids, how they are teaching their kids. And what was fascinating was this one guy was talking about how this Caucasian, about how he thought it was very important that their child not learn necessarily math at 4 years old, because he said that's not really going to make much sense to him at that age. It'll take him a long time to learn it, whereas when he gets to 6 years old, he can learn it a lot faster. I'd rather teach him interpersonal skills right off the bat, because those are that's what's going to open doors for you later in life. And I thought that was very true. You have a lot of kids, when they get thrown into this whole education thing where you're being pushed to learn this and pushed to learn that, they don't learn the interpersonal skills that you need so badly in today's world. And I think a lot of countries that put too much emphasis on learn business, learn math, learn numbers, learn analytical stuff, they lose all the social stuff and the people side, and then you get people that don't know how to talk to people and then don't know how to live life. Because I don't know about you, but the last city I went to, there was a ton of people there all over the place. You couldn't even move without talking to someone. So you need to know how to talk. And I think that guy pointed that was very important to me, that little factoid. And also he taught his daughter, his really young daughter, how to ride a bike already, which for me, I learned how to ride a bike at a very late age, and I still don't like riding bikes. I'd rather walk. I don't like bike, but I did find that fascinating. Hey, about some things, to give the kids a little heads up, a little bit of a head start, that is, on some of the things they might need to know later on, because bikes do get you from point A to point B, and except for the bike maintenance, it's a lot cheaper than a car. But real quick, we talked a lot about music today, I'll have to admit. I heard the worst song today by Halsey and Benny Blanco. I think it was called East Side. The worst song. I'm not even going to try and sing it for you right now. But if you want to hear the worst song ever done, that's apparently on the charts right now, it's horrible. The singing in it, it's like so half-ass, and it's so, what's the word? Rote. Everybody is singing in this particular style nowadays, and it's horrible. There's no feeling. That's what I'm mad about. There's no feeling in this song. Ugh. Please, do whatever you can to make this song never get played again. That's what I'm asking you today. Hey, I usually talk about something that's helpful to you, and I guess I may or may not have done that. But you should start planting a garden. Why? Is there a reason? Well, these birds will tell you that there's a reason. Because they like to sit on trees and other things that may grow in your garden. Gardening is good for your health. And actually, I got this from a website called Gardening Gone Wild. So they probably might be leaning a little bit on the, they might be for this article. And one of the reasons, here are the statistics. The U.S. public spends more than 90% of their time indoors, leading extremely sedentary, disconnected, unhealthy, and unnatural lifestyles. Possibly, that might even be you. The latest statistics show that 33% of U.S. adults are obese, incurring $148 billion in medical costs annually and contributing to 18% of U.S. adult deaths. So, 13 reasons why gardening is good for your health. Gardening can reduce your risk of stroke. Yes, and gardening burns calories. It's considered moderate to high intensity exercise. You got to do the digging. That you can burn up to 330 calories during just 1 hour of light gardening and yard work, more than lifting weights for the same amount of time. So there goes your gym membership. Get rid of that costly piece of crap in your life. The National Institute of Health goes so far as to recommend 30 to 45 minutes of gardening 3 to 5 times a week as part of a good strategy. Heavy gardening is not only helpful in weight maintenance, but also in reducing the risk of heart disease and other life-threatening diseases. Just 30 minutes of moderate-level physical activity a few times a week can prevent and control high blood pressure. Gardening decreases the likelihood of osteoporosis when you dig, plant, weed, and engage in repetitive tasks that require strength or stretching. All the major muscle groups are getting a good workout. Gardening is a stress buster. I believe that. I remember being stressed out about doing yard work, and then once I got started, I was like, hey, this is actually, I feel no stress. The stress just disappeared. Being surrounded by flowers improves one's health. That's interesting because it affects your mood and it gives you more positive effects on your mood. Gardening is a way of making meaning out of our lives. Being in the garden and feeling a profound connection to the land affords us the opportunity to focus on beauty and inspires us to experience feelings of awe, gratitude, and abundance. Very important things in your life. which I have to say, when you're living in the city and surrounded by concrete, you don't really get that sense of awe, gratitude, and abundance. It can be quite depressing. So it's good to be gardening. The act of gardening enables us to enter the zone, also known as altered state of consciousness, similar to what jogging does, or yoga, meditation, all that does that too. It is likely that gardening and flowers serve as a means for survival, or if you're speaking in Darwinian terms, survival of the fittest. Because, well, we used to have to do that. People have cultivated flowers. There must be a reason why this practice continues to exist. It was the flower that first ushered the idea of beauty into the world, the moment long ago when floral attraction emerged as an evolutionary strategy. And finally, digging in the soil has actual health and mood-boosting benefits. Yes, putting your hand in dirt, believe it or not. Children who are exposed to dirt in the formative years, going back to children, as we were talking about earlier, develop healthier, stronger immune systems when compared to children whose parents keep them squeaky clean. Oh, we can't be anywhere near dirt. They have a lower incidence of asthma, eczema, and allergies later in life. Exposure to dirt in childhood promotes good health. It also improves relationships and compassion. It may it may lower the risk of dementia, and it strengthens your immune system. While you're outdoors basking in the sun, you'll also soak up plenty of vitamin D, which helps the body absorb calcium. And calcium keeps your bones strong and your immune system healthy. Just make sure to wear that sunscreen. Don't get that can be bad, of course. The skin cancer. I would suggest that's the only bad thing about gardening is the skin cancer that you may get if you don't cover yourself correctly. But at any rate, here we are outside a cafe anyway, and it's good to be outside, and look who else is outside here as well. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. I think all my hypochondriac friends never go outside. That's very interesting, yes. Like the hypochondriacal friends that I was talking about yesterday, who said that, they can't eat anything with seeds because then because they got whatever that disease was I was talking about yesterday, which actually they have proven that does not cause that stomach disease and get into in fact, stuff with seeds and fiber helps prevent constipation and all that. Look who else is here. Well, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I really enjoyed the song We Are the World. Yes. And I guess that's the end of the show because, wow, we've gone over 20. Oh, my God. Over 23 minutes. All right. So there we go. So, like the song We Are the World, even though it's schmaltzy, hate the song by Benny Blanco and Halsey, and enjoy your day. What did you think about this show? You can email me, MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com, or call me at 336-MM-DAILY. Get to your hands in some dirt. Do some gardening. I know I got to mow my lawn, probably like most of you, so I'll be out there doing that very soon. And till next time, we'll have with us Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Hopefully another show for you very soon so we can get back into that daily routine because the name is Mike's Daily Podcast, and here's Eric.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!